Hey there, this is Matt Bulkley, psychotherapist and host of the Parent Guide podcast, helping your teen overcome pornography addiction. If you have ever wondered why your teen can't just stop looking at porn, why it feels impossible for them to close that tab even when they hate how it makes them feel, today we're doing a deep dive into the actual brain science that explains it all. We're talking about brain scans, hard data, and the latest research. And remember, this isn't about shame or judgment. This is about understanding the enemy so we can fight it together as a family. By the end of this episode, you will know exactly how porn hijacks a developing teen brain and the proven hope-filled path to get it back on track. So stick around because we are going to break this down step by step. Let's dive in. Parents, welcome back to the Parent Guide podcast, where we equip parents like you with the tools, the science, and the compassion to help your teens navigate one of the toughest challenges of modern life, that is pornography addiction. And if you're new here, hit the subscribe button wherever you're getting your podcast, whatever podcast app that you're using. And if you've been helped by an episode, leave us a review. It really helps spread the word to other parents who need this. Now, let's get into today's topic: how porn actually hacks your teen's brain, the science that parents need to know. So imagine the biggest dopamine rush of your life, that heart-pounding thrill of maybe a roller coaster drop, the euphoria of winning a big game or a championship. Remember back to the butterflies of your first love or your first kiss, all of that stuff available right in your pocket for free in seconds whenever you're bored, stressed, or feeling lonely. Well, that is what porn represents for a teenager today. It's not just content. It's an on-demand hit of intensity that our brains were not designed to handle in unlimited quantities. So I want you to meet Chad. Of course, that's not his real name. Protect privacy. When he was around 12 years old on a family vacation, stumbled upon a swimsuit catalog in a hotel drawer. And that first rush, heart pounding, a mix of excitement and curiosity, he kept the magazine, hid it under his mattress, sneaking peeks at it when no one was around. Fast forward that 1 year, and he's got a secret browser on his phone. He's got a second Instagram account filled with provocative, suggestive content. And every single night, there's this not ashamed twisting in his stomach. Well, does that sound familiar? Maybe it is your son or even your daughter. Here's the thing. Chad is not a bad kid. He's a normal teen whose developing brain met a super normal stimulus. And the science now proves that it lights up the brain almost exactly like cocaine. In fact, studies show the reward pathways activated by porn are the same ones triggered by addictive substances. And we'll unpack that more in a bit. But first, let's talk about why this hits teens so hard in current day in 2026. The crucial part that most parents miss is that your teen's brain is not fully developed until the mid-20s. Some of the research is suggesting around age 25. So think about that, 25. I mean, this is if your teen is 15, there's still 10 years of brain development that needs to occur still. The prefrontal cortex, which I like to call the CEO of the brain, part responsible for decision-making, impulse control, weighing consequences, like saying, hey, maybe don't do that at 2 a.m. Well, that area is still under construction. The wiring, so to speak, is being installed bit by bit. Meanwhile, the reward system in their brain, it's like a Ferrari engine with bicycle brakes. It's revved up, it's ready to go, but the stopping power is not there yet. 2019 review in the Journal of Adolescent Health laid this out clearly. Teen brains are more sensitive to pornography than adult brains because of neuroplasticity. And I know we've covered this in past episodes, but just as a refresher, neuroplasticity is the brain's incredible ability to rewire itself based on experiences. So it's what allows us to learn new skills or to form habits or to adapt. But in teens, this plasticity is at its peak, making their brains like wet clay, easily molded. In porn, Well, it's the fastest, the most aggressive rewiring tool that we've ever handed to teenagers. It's not like the occasional magazine from decades ago, the exposure that maybe our generation experienced. Today's porn is high definition, endless variety, algorithm driven to keep you scrolling. And it exploits that plasticity to create deep grooves in the brain that are hard to escape. So let me give you an analogy that I like to use. Have it in the Breaking Free workbook. Talk about it in sessions in the clinic at Therapy Associates and in the field at Star Guides. Is this? Imagine building a highway in a new city. In a teen's brain, the roads are still being paved. So any heavy traffic, like repeated porn exposure, creates deep permanent paths. So it takes these trails and it creates super lane freeways. So in adults, those roads are more set, so it takes longer to reroute. But in teens, the more that road is used, the deeper the grooves and the paths become. And that's why early intervention is key. Well, all right, let's get into the nitty-gritty of this. I'm going to describe the 4 key areas of the brain that porn essentially takes hostage. And if this were a video, I'd have simple slides here. Actually, you know what? There is a YouTube video that has really good imagery that you can check out. It's on the YouTube channel. But since this is audio, I'll paint you the picture vividly. So first, the ventral striatum and the amygdala. These parts of the brain handle reward and emotion. In a 2024 study in Nature Neuroscience showed the same hyperactivity in these areas as seen in cocaine users. Cravings feel identical because it's the same neural circuitry. So your teens are not just liking it, their brain is screaming for more. Second, the prefrontal cortex, which is our impulse control center, and multiple MRI studies, like one from Neuroimage in 2022, and then others from the Journal of American Medical Association, the JAMA Psychiatry from both 2014 and 2022, feel actual thinning of the gray matter in that part of the brain. Gray matter is the brain tissue responsible for processing. So it's like literally wearing down the brake pedal. So less tissue means weaker self-control, making it harder to say no the next time. So really just completely damaging the capacity for impulse control. Third, thalamus, sensory cortex. These processes are the sensory input and pleasure. So chronic porn use shrinks these areas, according to research, making normal pleasures feel flat, feel dull, feel bland. This is where food tastes bland, hanging out with friends seems boring, music doesn't hit the same. Everything else pales in comparison because the brain's baseline for excitement has been jacked up so high. So one of the analogies used there is just kind of like the pleasure thermostat in the brain. Porn gets set so high that nothing else can get to that same level of pleasure. And fourth, the memory circuits, which are powered by norepinephrine, which we'll talk about. First exposures get burned in like a brand on cattle. Teens can recall those first images that they were exposed to from years ago in vivid, almost photographic detail. And that's not normal memory encoding. That's trauma level intensity. So a study in 2020 in neuropsychology explains how this chemical, this norepinephrine, etches these memories deep, making triggers everywhere, in ads, social media, even innocent conversations. So to expand on this, seen this in my practice. In fact, something in recent memory is teen described how a single image from when he was 13 would just randomly pop in his memory during school, which would derail his focus. So it's not a willpower issue. It's wired in recall. Well, porn doesn't just show pictures or videos. It mainlines a powerful chemical cocktail straight into the brain. And let's shift over into the neurochemicals here. Let's break down the 4 key players, which I know we've probably covered this multiple times, but it's important to get it. So first, the dopamine, which is that gimme more neurotransmitter. 2022 study in Archives of Sexual Behavior found porn releases more dopamine than real sex for many users. Over time, brain's receptors downregulate to cope, leading to that phenomena that would be referred to as tolerance. And that's why there's pattern where you see it escalates into rougher, weirder, or more extreme content. Just to feel anything, just to get that same level of high. So it's like needing stronger coffee every morning. Second, oxytocin, the bonding hormone. Normally this is the neurochemical, helps us to form connections with real people. But as a study in Psychology Today from 2023 noted that porn tricks it into bonding with the screen. So this is why so many teens will talk about and they tell me that intimacy feels weird or it feels boring. Intimacy simply meaning just connection. Their attachment system is misfiring. So third, serotonin, which is the mood stabilizer. So from the Journal of Behavioral Addictions, a study in 2021 shows that we see how porn becomes the go-to for stress relief. Instead of learning healthy coping skills like exercise or talking things out, they turn to this for a quick fix, which disrupts natural serotonin balance and can lead to mood swings, can lead to sleep problems, can lead to troubles with self-soothing. And fourth, norepinephrine, which we touched on earlier. This is the memory tattoo artist. There's a study in neuropsychology from 2020. Study showed that it makes those first clips, those first exposures, replay in their head years later, fueling the cycle. A quick story here. Another client, we'll call him Sean, started his porn use with curiosity around age 14, and by 16 was hooked, looking at porn every day. And the shame was pretty overwhelming for him, but understanding this chemistry helped him to see that it wasn't fault necessarily. It wasn't a major moral flaw, but it was biology. It was the neuroscience. It was the hijacking of the brain. And so simply helping him to begin to see the science of this helped to shift from kind of blame and guilt, shame, to seeing the science of it. And that's powerful because when the teen is overcome by shame, sometimes it drives to that why kind of mindset. So let's fast forward to today, 2026. And here's what this looks like in real life based on what I am seeing in my office at Therapy Associates with teens, in field at Star Guides with clients from all over the country, and along with the latest data. One phenomena that is kind of an interesting new discovery as well is what's referred to as PIED, porn-induced erectile dysfunction, which a recent study in the Journal of Sexual Medicine, I guess this is from 2022, but it shows between 14 to 35% of young men 25 or under have experienced this porn-induced erectile dysfunction. And that's up from about 2 to 3% before the internet era. And that's staggering. That's shocking. So these young adults get into their 20s, get married, start to become sexually intimate, and discover that they cannot perform in real relationships because their brains had become so desensitized from porn use. And for the young women, the girls, it's a skyrocketing body image anxiety and a pressure to mimic what they've seen on the screen, leading to unhealthy expectations and self-esteem issues. And for other related problems, focus, grades, in the toilet, the brain craves escalation, stimulation, so things like homework just feel dull. 2024 Common Sense Media Survey links early exposure to pornography to anxiety, depression, and aggressive sexual behaviors. Parents, this isn't kids being kids. This is a neurological injury unfolding in real time. And it's not rare. Statistics show over 70% of teens have encountered porn by age 18, often much earlier. And let me just add one other thing, a recent trend, in fact, even over the last year, 2025 and moving into this year, AI-generated content in 2026 is adding to this endless variety, making escalation even faster. And it really is a whole new frontier that we're just starting to understand. Well, parents, here's the good news. This is the best news that I can give you. Hope is real, and teens' brains can heal fast because of this same neuroplasticity. So your teen's brain is still insanely adaptable. So there is reason to be hopeful. Study in 2021 from addictive behaviors followed heavy users who quit. And after just 6 to 8 months of abstinence, gray matter in the reward system began to regrow. And by 12 months, just 1 year, dopamine sensitivity was nearly back to normal. And teens, they healed noticeably faster than adults. Even when we know that porn is so damaging to the teen brain, we also know that they can heal and heal quickly. Another study from the Journal of Neuroscience 2022 study showed that replacing pornography with real world wins like exercise, hanging out with friends, creative hobbies brought focus, mood, and natural pleasure roaring back often in weeks. And I've seen it. I've seen this firsthand. One teen I work with quit cold turkey, which was amazing. And with support, within about a month or 6 weeks, he reported color seeming brighter, food tasting better, the joy of life back. Here's the thing, the brain wants to heal. We just have to stop that constant input. And to build on this, let's talk about prevention. Educate early about healthy sexuality, set boundaries on tech, model good habits yourself. It's easier to build strong foundations than to repair damage. Like that prevention is so important. But here's the thing, for those teens who are caught up in the addiction, I do want to give you a battle plan here. What is that plan? Well, 3 steps that I'll give you today. Number 1, understand, don't shame. Approach this with empathy. Say something like, I realize that your brain got hijacked by something stronger than drugs. And I get it. It's not weakness. It's science. It's biology. But you know what? We're going to fix this together. So the opposite would be that shame only drives it deeper underground. So the way that you interface with your teen is going to make so much difference in whether you can start to deal with this issue up front. Step 2, you've got to remove the unlimited supply. Got to get phones out of bedrooms at night. Need to use and put accountability software on all the technology. I use or recommend Covenant Eyes. It's important to establish an open device policy where screens are public. You need to make sure that your teen understands that you have access and at any given time can look at the phone. And you know what? For a deeper dive on this step, there's a past episode where we spend the entire episode on tech management and actually cover the debate on whether a teen in early stage of recovery from pornography addiction should even possess a phone. So I think it might be, well, I can't remember what episode it is, but it's one of our past podcast episodes. It'd be a good listen. Step 3, flood the brain with healthy highs. So this is where you've got to encourage exercise, especially weight training or team sports for that dopamine hit. Real-time, social, face-to-face time with friends. Got to have that connection. Creative outlets like art or music, and prioritizing sleep. So these provide natural dopamine, oxytocin, and serotonin. And bonus tip here, consider professional help if it's needed. For some situations, if a parent-led intervention can be effective, something that you can implement at home on your own, that's great. And the recovery toolbox for teens can be your guide with that, using the Breaking Free workbook for your teen, parent guide for you, and the 101 tips for quitting porn. And that's a great combo if you can pull it off, if you can make it happen on your own. But if you need outside intervention, then take a look at outpatient support. And if you're in Southern Utah, we're happy to help at Therapy Associates. And even if you're not in Southern Utah, but are willing to travel, come here, get an assessment and start treatment, get it started here. And then we're happy to continue to work with you with follow-up telehealth sessions, or if more intensive treatment's needed. So if you're in a situation where outpatient's not going to be enough, in fact, there's another podcast episode where we cover that. Listen to previous episode on where we do a deep dive into the topic on how to know if more intensive treatment is needed. But just summary on that topic, in cases where serious safety or risk or unmanageable behavior issues are present, things like sexual acting out, sexual abuse, engagement in high risk online behaviors, or where there's some severe mental health crises that are attached to this, suicidality, self-harm, debilitating anxiety or depression, or when a teen has become entirely unresponsive to parental authority and the cycle of addictive or compulsive behavior can no longer be safely interrupted at home, then here's the thing, an intensive, highly structured therapeutic intervention is often needed. And that's where program like our Star Guides wilderness therapy program becomes an intervention that is precisely the level of care that's needed. It's a clinically sophisticated wilderness-based program specifically designed to stabilize acute risks, restore emotional regulation, and rebuild healthy family dynamics when traditional outpatient or home-based approaches are just not working. So this proven next step intervention offers containment, expert oversight, and a transformative, life-changing experience that can really be the turning point needed to disrupt the addiction. Well, parents, know now more about how porn affects the teen brain than most adults out there. So, and share this episode with a parent who needs it. In the show notes, I'll sure to put the link for the Recovery Toolbox for Teens, which you can get in the bookstore at therapyassociates.net in the bookstore. It's the blue version, not the brown version. That's the adult version. And also put a link to us to Star Guides if you are in a spot where maybe more intensive treatment would be needed. So drop a comment or review. Let me know which brain change shocked you the most. And again, hit subscribe and tune in for future episodes where we continue to drop tips, strategies, help research on recovery from pornography addiction. So remember, your teen's brain can absolutely heal, and you are the one equipped to help guide them through it. And I'll see you soon.